In this video, I will show you step by step how you can create these 3D surfaces using the trace method. For this example, we have x squared plus z squared equals 25. Now, because it's missing a y term, we can say that this is a cylindrical surface that is parallel to the y-axis. It's a cylindrical surface parallel to the y-axis. Now we can go about conducting the traces or sketching the traces. We'll start off with first the xy trace. And when you're finding the xy trace, you're going to let z equal 0. Now the corresponding equation, go back to the original equation and replace the z with 0, and you get the equation. You get the equation x squared is equal to 25. Now this has two solutions. One is equal to x equals 5, and the other is x equals negative 5. And what that looks like on a two-dimensional graph Sorry about that. What that looks like on a two-dimensional graph is we're going to draw the x-axis and the y-axis in our traditional way before we looked at three-dimensional graphing, x and y. The line x equals 5 is a vertical line through positive 5 on the x-axis, and x equals negative 5 is a vertical line through negative 5 on the x-axis. This is our xy trace. Now let's look at the xz trace. In the xz trace, you're going to let y equal 0. And what that ends up being is our original equation, x squared plus z squared equals 25. And we're going to look at that using a two-dimensional graph. This is your x-axis and this is your z-axis. This is the equation of a circle that has a radius of 5 and centered at the origin. So we'll do just a quick sketch of that, of the xz trace, and then finally the yz trace. To find the yz trace, you're going to let x equal 0. And if you let x equal 0, you get the equation z squared equals 25. Again, I just put 0 into the original equation for x. And when you get z squared equals 25, this has two solutions. Z is equal to 5 and z is equal to negative 5. And what that looks like is I'm going to sketch this one using a horizontal y-axis and a vertical z-axis. And the line z equals 5 is the horizontal line through positive 5 on the z-axis and through negative 5 on the z-axis. Now we're going to try to put this all together in a 3D graph. In a 3D graph, the z-axis I draw going straight up and down. The positive z-axis goes up. The x-axis I draw at a diagonal where the positive x-axis is coming out towards you, bottom left. And I draw horizontal the y-axis, where the positive y-axis is going to the right. Now we're going to look at sketching the first xy trace. The xy trace would be taking this first graph here, kind of tilting and rotating so you get the graph in the xy plane. So notice that the first trace, xy trace, does cross through the x-axis here at positive 5. Let's label that 5. It's parallel to the y-axis, so it goes this way. The line x equals negative 5 goes through negative 5 on the x-axis, parallel to the y-axis. Now our second trace, the XZ trace, it's a circle that goes through +5 and -5 on the x-axis, and it goes through +5 and -5 on the z-axis, and it's a circle that way. Now, when you look at it this way, it's kind of tilted, slanted in that direction. And then finally, the YZ trace is where x equals 0. The lines go through the z-axis at +5 and -5, and it's parallel to the y-axis. So we get something like this. Now, it may not look like a lot, but recognizing that it's a cylindrical surface and one of the traces is a circle, we can have a pretty decent idea that this is a cylinder that is kind of surrounding the y-axis, and it does go forever to the left and to the right. So you see kind of a perspective drawing of the graph of the cylindrical surface. We see just a portion of the drawing.